Welcome to Soccer Morning on World Soccer Talk. Here's your host, Jason Davis.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome into Soccer Morning. Here we go. We are live and on the air. Happy to talk to you on worldsoccertalk.com. Hello, video people. Hello, podcast people. You're in the future. What's the future like, podcast people? Big show for you today. We're going to cover most of the news from the weekend. Got a bunch of results to talk about and the like. We'll take any and all comments you have on the world of football as it exists right now. Twitter is open as always at Soccer Morning, and I'll have the phone lines ready to go in mere moments. The opening weekend of the Liga MX Clausura. We've got FA Cup action. We've got some changes to the U.S. Men's National. It's all in the news here in mere moments. And I've got some breaking MLS stuff from Jeff Carlisle at ESPN FC that we certainly have to talk about in terms of player movement, acquisition, and the like. All right, so we start with the magic of the FA Cup. Arsenal, Chelsea, City, United, all moving on to the fourth round, of the FA Cup in England. Now, look, it's not as though everybody just did what they needed to do and can feel great about it. United needed a late Wayne Rooney goal to feel good about themselves as they get they get a victory in the FA Cup. You had Arsenal. They took care of Sunderland 3-1. Chelsea doing what they needed to do, but again, there was a couple of teams here that squeaked by, and that's what the Cup does to you sometimes. Non-league side Eastleigh. Now, not that anybody pulled up Bolton as one of the best teams in England. Certainly, they've dropped down a division, but now dealing with a replay against non-league side. The last non-league side in the tournament, I believe, Eastleigh. They hold Bolton 1-1. I watched some of that game. Muddy pitch, somewhere in the north of England. I'm not even sure where Eastleigh is. But certainly the very FA Cup-like game there. League 2 side Wickham forces a replay against Aston Villa. We know Aston Villa's been terrible in the Premier League this year. Oxford United with the biggest upset of the round against Swansea. And then from Friday, Little Exeter forcing a replay against Liverpool. So Jurgen Klopp struggling to figure out how to balance out his many different fronts. We've got the Ballon d'Or ceremony taking place in Zurich today. The men's finalists, you all know them: Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar Jr. The numbers are all over the place. I was looking at some of them this morning. Of course, they are incredibly impressive for all three of those gentlemen, but especially Lionel Messi, who I think most people have as the Ballon d'Or winner in 2015. Women's Player of the Year also on tap, although I'm not sure why they can't be the women's Ballon d'Or, but whatever. Carly Lloyd, Ayumi Miyama of Japan, and Celia Sacic of Germany are the finalists for that award. I'm not sure I have a guess, so we had some sort of supposed leak of the winners, and it was Messi and Sausage, but don't hold anybody to that. I don't know if that's a guarantee. Of course, we're all United States women's national team fans rooting for Carly Lloyd to win that award. Is certainly an amazing World Cup. One of the, if not the best player in the year, certainly deserves it on the back of leading the United States to a championship. Men's Coach of the Year finalists: Pep Guardiola, Jorge Sampaoli, and Luis Enrique. Women's Coach of the Year finalist: Jill Ellis, world champion, Mark Sampson of England, and Norio Sasaki of Japan. You also have your FIFA 11 announced today, as well as the winner of the Puskás Award, which is not Carly Lloyd because she was not a finalist, and that's ridiculous. I don't know what's happening. That's a joke. Jurgen Klinsmann makes changes to the U.S. men's national team roster. A lot of this happened on Friday. Fataya Lashe and Mark Pelosi sent home due to injury. That's a little bit of a tough break for the San Jose contingent. We talked to our friend Robert Jonas over on SiriusXM FC on Friday. Maybe we ended up jinxing that pair of youngsters. I hope not. The additions: Steve Birnbaum, defender, DC United; Perry Kitchen, midfielder, DC United, currently unattached, by the way; David Bingham, the San Jose goalkeeper, we knew he was coming in; and Brandon Vincent, a college kid from Stanford who plays fullback. That's a nod towards the U23 team, which, of course, this camp is heavily focused on as they get ready to face Colombia over two legs for the right to go to the Olympics this summer. Atletico Madrid beating Celta Vigo 2-0 on Sunday to regain their top spot in the La Liga standings. Also in La Liga, you had Barcelona 4-0 winners over Granada. And Real Madrid 5-0 over Deportivo La Coruña in Zinedine Zidane's debut as manager. Villarreal, Real Sociedad, Eibar, Sevilla all win as well. So interesting times in La Liga, of course, with the change at Real Madrid, with Barcelona chugging along, but certainly behind Atletico Madrid at this point with that game in hand. Liga MX opening weekend in the Clausura, as I mentioned. Chivas de Guadalajara stumbling to a 2-2 draw against Veracruz, despite being up a goal and a man after 24 minutes. So not good for the Goats. Atlas comes from behind to beat Querétaro 3-1 in Rafa Marquez's return to Guadalajara. And then Omar Gonzalez providing an assist in Pachuca's 1-1 draw on the road against Cholos in Tijuana. Club America playing to a dour goalless draw at home against Puebla. And defending Apertura champion Tigres falls 1-0 on the road to Toluca in that first round. So a long way to go. 17 matches in the Clausura. We'll see how that plays out down Mexico way. In the meantime, let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll open up the phone lines. Is that what we're going to do? It's a Monday. It's your day. Let's hit it. Let's hit it hard. Excuse me. My voice doesn't want to work. Soccer Morning, WorldSoccerTalk.com.
Welcome back to Soccer Morning on World Soccer Talk with Jason Davis.
We are back on Soccer Morning on a Monday, January 11th, 2016. Unfortunately, sadly, and I wish I had some of his music queued up. I probably can find something, but I just didn't get it done in the break. Passing of David Bowie. That's pretty much dominating Twitter right now. Music legend David Bowie, who died yesterday after a bout with cancer, 69 years old. If you don't know about David Bowie, go learn about David Bowie. I'm not going to say I was a fanboy of David Bowie or super into his music, but I certainly respect the man, and good Lord, did he do a lot of stuff. Good Lord, did he reinvent himself many times. Never hesitated to just put himself out there doing something he thought was interesting and creative. I mean, give me another musician, creative, artist, whatever, who reinvented himself more time than David Bowie. There's nobody, right? And for me, the memory of David Bowie that will always dominate is his role in Labyrinth, right? If you grew up in the 80s, if you spent any time of your life in the 80s at all, you saw the movie Labyrinth. David Bowie in Labyrinth is like, that's for you, that's David Bowie. Now there's if you were of my age range. If you're a little bit older, of course, he was a little bit bigger of an act in the late 70s, early 80s than he ended up being for the rest of his life. Certainly his music changed and the like. But still, a legend, David Bowie, gone at 69. So that's certainly sad. The Columbus Crew, a couple of bits of news related to Crew SC. Jonathan Tannenwald tipping me on Twitter that they have announced a contract extension for Ethan Finlay, which is good news for them. Obviously, he is in national team camp trying to impress Jurgen Klinsmann ahead of a couple of friendlies at the end of the month and the beginning of February. Ethan Finlay, a guy with a lot of talent, had a great year in MLS. We'll see if he translates that, but he deserves a contract extension. There it goes. The other bit of news related to the Columbus Crew, Jack Carlisle at ESPN FC reporting that Jack McInerney is headed to the Columbus Crew. Reigning MLS Cup champions Portland Timbers are poised to acquire out-of-contract forward Jack McInerney from the Crew in exchange for an unspecified amount of allocation money. Will this finally be the stop where Jack McInerney discovers himself for good? Is this finally going to be the place where Jack McInerney lives up to all of that potential that we know he has? This will be team 4. At this point, at the age of 23 years old, it's got to happen. And you see the flashes of it. I hate to call him out, but at one point, I think the American Chicharito label may have gotten tossed out there, and it was unfortunate because not that it messed with McInerney himself, and McInerney certainly had this rocky road in terms of relationships with coaches and staffs and the like. But it sort of unfairly changed the perception of Jack McInerney among the fan base. And I think most people see Jack McInerney as, again, unfulfilled potential. Phone lines are open, 646-832-3909. Ray knows the number, and he's already used it. Hey, Ray.
Hey, how are you? I just wanted to weigh in a little bit about LAFC and about the league in general. But first, I would just like to say that, I think MLS, I don't like criticizing MLS. I don't like criticizing American soccer. And it's just we have to deal with the hands that we're dealt. But what I would like to see this league, and particularly MLS team, do is really resonate with inner city American minority sports culture, regardless of what you feel about the Bad Boys or the Fab Five or even the mystique of the LA Raiders when they were in Los Angeles. These sports, this part of American sports culture resonates in urban America, inner city America. And I would love for MLS to, in my personal opinion, MLS to get a crossover team or of appeal, or even have players. Where are the minority of athletes like Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, Michael Jordan, Oscar De La Hoya, Fernando Valenzuela? I don't think some people may be too young to remember Fernando and what he did, was able to captivate all of American sports culture.
Yeah, well, I mean, it helped that Fernando was such a superstar right out of the gates, Ray. I mean, I don't know that soccer lends itself to that sort of thing, and certainly MLS doesn't have the profile. I mean, the Dodgers at the time, I mean, the Raiders were good then, but it was still, like, the baseball was still such a big thing culturally speaking, and again, you had him speaking to a population that not only the immigrant population, Mexican American immigrant population of Los Angeles that had moved recently out of Mexico to the United States, but the legacy, the Chicano heritage that went back 100 years in LA. I mean, remember that the people that were cleared out of their homes in order to make room for Chavez Ravine and the stadium, Dodger Stadium, were Mexican. Were people of Mexican heritage who had been there for 100 years already.
Right. But I remember growing up as a kid, in the Fab Five, growing up in the Midwest. I grew up a poor inner city minority myself. Mm-hmm. I wasn't rooting for Duke to win those championships.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying. And look, I just had some very interesting discussions. I was in Atlanta for the weekend. Had an opportunity to meet some people down there who are working on the. I don't know how to describe it. One of the people I talked to work specifically with soccer outreach programs that go into the inner city. I work with immigrant communities and inner city communities, and absolutely, there's an issue with MLS and the necessity to allow the people of a community to identify with their team. Absolutely. Now,
right.
You can't. There's only so much you can do to manipulate that. There's only so far you can go to sort of make that happen before it's up to the talent that's coming through, before it's up to the players that are there and available. Now, that's on your coaching, it's on identification of those players and everything else, but you can't make a player appear who's going to become Fernando Valenzuela.
Right. And I would just like to say, who in an American soccer sense is the closest team that we have, or who in American soccer can a poor inner city minority kid relate to currently?
Oh man, that's a very good question.
I'm gonna tell you something, Jason. A personal experience. I went to go see U.S. Mexico in 2013 in Columbus, Ohio.
Yeah, I was there.
And after the game, I ran out. I ran into 4 young African American youth, and they asked me and my brothers who won the game, and I said the United States won the game, and their response was, "Oh, sorry guys, we were rooting for you guys." And I think that speaks volumes to the disconnect that the sport has in that community. I think that when we talk about American sports culture, American soccer culture, it's unique how one aspect says one thing, and then the other how another culture says another thing within. And yet, this is all American.
You're absolutely right. Look, I can't speak from that experience, right? I mean, I'm a white guy. I mean, I for the most part grew up in suburbs. I was a military brat, so my experience is different than a lot of people's. But I'm still a white guy. I can't put myself in the shoes of the kids you talk to, or in your shoes, Ray, or anybody. I mean, I know Puerto Ricans who root for Mexico, because they identify more with Mexico than with the United States. I mean, Puerto Rico's got a weird relationship with the U.S. in general, but that sort of speaks to the same things you're talking about. But the thing about the national team as it exists right now that's weird is that it's more diverse than I think we give it credit for.
Yeah, than it's ever been.
Yeah,
right.
and look, and there are there are players that people can identify with. I mean, we've got, with Bobby Wood breaking in, we've got an Asian Hawaiian player now. There's obviously the white guys like Michael Bradley, Matt Beasler, stuff like that. Look, as long as Omar Gonzalez is in the team, as long as guys like Alejandro Bedoya are in the team, there's a Latin American element. There always should be a Latin American element. We know that, a Latino element. There's obviously, we've got Josie Altidore, and Bill Hamid's going to be coming through. Jassy Zardes is a kid who people who inner city kids should be able to identify with on some level. I think, or at least, it's there. Whether or not those people identify with the team is probably more about the promotion of the team and soccer in general. I mean, Ray, you know as well as I do that there's a very different perception of soccer in certain communities, especially immigrant communities in this country, and then among the general sports community who sees it as this super white bread suburban sport. Right.
And I also feel that this That's what I mean when I talk about trying to see more diversity in sports culture and on television, particularly on television, because this is where you can meet the masses. And if you look at, I think all sports in America struggle with this. Soccer isn't the only one, but when you tune into a program on television about baseball, NFL, or college football, you see the rate of diverse opinions and perspectives. Whatever you feel about Stephen A. Smith or Charles Barkley, those are still opinions and perspectives that resonate with a portion of American sports culture.
But Ray, this is what's fascinating to me, and I'm not going to make any judgments here, and I'm not calling anybody out. But you look at the way the mainstream American sports culture operates. It's been a long time coming, and they've had to, obviously, institutional racism is a thing, and we know it's a thing. But as you said, the NBA is a diverse set of opinions. The NFL, you get a diverse set of wait, hold on. You get what you get is opinions from African Americans and from white Americans who grew up playing those sports, and those are the most important sports to us. And even hockey's worked in some of the African Canadian players and some of the African American players who have played and doing a good job of it. But the only sport that's got a Latino element that's actually making something out of that is baseball. And even then, I think baseball, because it's fading as an important sport, at least mainstream youth culture wise, they still get great attendance and people still get excited. But you can't tell me that baseball is the leading sport in this country anymore. Excuse me. So soccer is kind of working in that same area. You know what I'm saying? So maybe there's something to the American attitude adjusting to the enlarging Hispanic community to the point where the sport is suffering at the same time that those people are having to, the American culture is having to accept the fact that we have this large Hispanic element now. You know what I'm saying? Does this make any sense?
Right. I would agree. Yep. And I think baseball has been the really first sport. I begins quite frequently on. He's a very controversial figure in his opinions and perspective. But
I love Ozzy. I think
he's on.
I love Ozzy.
Right, me too.
Pedro Martinez is on television these days. There's a lot of guys like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, but that's all I'm saying is that you would think that soccer would be in the forefront of this type of diversity here.
Well,
in America.
yeah, you're right. But
it seems to me we're stuck in 1960s mentality when we watch it on television.
The problem, I think, is that soccer itself is trying to figure out what it is and how it's going to present itself. But look again. You're right. And here's the thing. I'm going to be the white guy saying this because it's true. And if it means I suffer, then it means I suffer on some level. But there needs to be more, there needs to be a greater diversity of opinions and presentation out there. I mean, again, it's not that I want anybody on that Fox panel to lose their job, but you go look at that Fox panel that they put out there for the FA Cup or for the Champions League or for whatever properties they have. That's super white. It's a super white panel, and we're talking about a country. I mean, we can't do with this division, Ray, and you're a perfect guy to speak to this. We can't do with this division where on one, for the English speakers, soccer is this super white bread sport, and then for the people who are bilingual or speak Spanish, it's a Hispanic sport. There's got to be a bridge, and where's the African American representation? All of these things, right?
Right. I would agree with that 100%. And then I personally don't like to call out any networks or anything like that either. But all I'm saying is that it could be better.
All right, Ray. I'm gonna move on. Yep. I appreciate the call, man. It's a good chat.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. 646-832-3909. If you want to jump in and change the subject, please do, because that seems to be the important thing at the moment, is getting the subject changed. Soccer Morning on a Monday. Looking at this news, all right, we may shut this thing down here shortly. If you guys want to call in, 646-832-3909. I'll be happy to take your phone calls, but otherwise I got nothing at the moment. Ray called in with a subject. I don't know what else we got. What else we got? Give me a subject we can talk about here. You know, there with the FA Cup. I watched Arsenal. They did okay. I watched Bolton and Eastleigh again on a muddy pitch. Where's Eastleigh again? Somebody give me an English geography lesson. But that was class to me. That's what the FA Cup is. And that's the whole quote-unquote magic of the FA Cup. And that was it was fun. It was obviously not high-quality soccer. And you take that example of the FA Cup. And, of course, for those proponents of the U.S. Open Cup in this country, people who enjoy that tournament and want that tournament to be bigger and more important, it's those sort of dynamics. Eastleigh, the small non-league side from the National League, whatever that is, versus Bolton, which I think is in the championship. Bolton's still in the championship, right? They're not that bad. They still managed to be in the championship. I mean, they can't pay their players and all that, but they're at least maintaining a spot in the top two divisions of English football. That's the dynamic. That minnow tiny club versus the much bigger club. Certainly Bolton's got a profile, having been in the Premier League in recent years. Is what we want out of the Open Cup. Now, we don't do replays in the U.S. Open Cup. That's, I guess, schedule. I mean, obviously, scheduling and travel, that would be a disaster. You can't possibly make that work in a country as large as the United States. But I'm watching that game, and I'm watching the ball die in the mud at Eastleigh Stadium, whatever it's called. My apologies to Eastleigh. And I'm thinking, do we want that? I mean, do we want that? Because that's exactly, I guess within that context, it's acceptable, right? Within the context of Eastleigh, the small non-league side, versus Bolton, it's okay. But if American soccer presented that, if at some point, and it does occasionally happen, there's been some bad fields, some small stadiums, I guess that's okay. But we are at the point where those things aren't getting televised. I don't know. It's this odd dynamic that where we accept something out of English football that we might not accept out of American soccer. I just put that out there. Did you see? Let's go to Twitter here. Did you see? I imagine that's Klopp. Did you see Klopp's pre-match interview done in a kitchen? Is your studio bigger or smaller than that room? I didn't hear the audio. But I did. I did see a bit of that, and it was hilarious. He pointed out the sink that they had there, and there was a couple of ladies. I don't know what they were trying to do. I don't know what their jobs were, but there was a couple of ladies who got on television because they turn. You see those interviews where it's the backdrop. They put up the sponsor backdrop, and they talk to the manager about the result, and you're thinking. You don't really get a concept of where that is. But, of course, if it's a camera right in their face and it's a reporter right in their face with a microphone, it doesn't have to be a large space. And then they pull back and, oh, my gosh, there's a sink. And it's not even a kitchen. It's like a washroom. It's like a mud room or something. And then you remember how tiny and old some of these English football stadiums are. Pretty crazy. All right, so we got Jack McInerney moving to Portland. It looks like it's also a done deal that Yura Movsisyan's coming back to MLS, and he's going to go back to RSL. That's a big move for RSL. A big move for MLS to get Yura Movsisyan back in this league. He spent a couple of years abroad, made his way around Europe a bit, ended up in Russia, and doing some pretty good things. 28 years old at this point, Yura Movsisyan. He went to Randers. Randers is in Denmark, right? Randers in Denmark. Ended up with Krasnodar and then Spartak Moscow for the last 3 seasons. So that's a pretty solid move for RSL to bring back a player who went abroad and consistently scored goals while he was over there, or did pretty well. We've got he scored 14 goals in 2013-14 for Spartak in 23 appearances. Pretty good in the league. 16 goals across all competitions. There's a goal scorer. He's going to score goals in MLS. Is the League Cup overkill? Or should we also have a Pro Cup in this country with MLS, NASL, and USL, says Bo Durr. Well, look, I think the League Cup is not overkill only because they've been doing it for so long, and so they sort of come to when English clubs are looking at their schedule, they know that that's coming. They can completely toss it away, play reserves, whatever if they want. But at least they know it's there, Bo. I think we add a Pro Cup to this country. First of all, Bruce Arena's head would explode and then somebody would have to clean up that mess, and I'm not sure who we would want to do that. And then, it just adds to it puts pressure on the tournament that we've already got, the U.S. Open Cup, and the lack of serious consideration for that tournament that we constantly talk about. We're constantly talking about how no one takes the U.S. Open Cup seriously, or MLS teams don't do enough, or they play their reserves, and it makes a joke out of the tournament, et cetera, et cetera. You can't throw a Pro Cup in there, and then expect them to get better at that. It's only going to get worse. So, yeah, that would definitely be overkill for the United States of America to have a Pro Cup tournament. A couple of strikers moving around MLS. A couple of moves in the U.S. soccer camp. A couple of Americans starring overseas. Bill in New York. What's going on?
Oh, perfect. I was just going to talk about Ballon.
Well, I saw that you were. See, Bill, I saw that you were, and then I transitioned us. I used that. Never mind. Go ahead.
Oh, I missed you. I missed that part. I was waiting online. But I tell you, I saw him play for Rangers this weekend, and I know it's small. They're playing a small team. I can't remember. It's Cal Brack or something like that was the other team. But he looked great. He looked really good. He was the center of attack for them. They were using him for everything, and he looked really good. Kind of wonder if maybe he's going to get a look pretty soon again back with the U.S. national team.
Well, I mean, he's got to be in the mix for the U23s, right? I think if he's playing well and his confidence is up, and they certainly Andres Herzog is going to need somebody like him to set the tone and be the rhythm player in against Colombia, then he's got to be that guy. I mean, possession, they got to be able to hold possession against Colombia.
And that's it. So I hope they get him in there, take a look at him. And you're also talking about small stadiums. And this is the good thing. Like, I like the FA Cup, and I like all these tournaments. And this is going real small. This is the Scottish Cup tournament that I was watching. And Celtic was playing another really small team. And one of the players went and did a slide tackle and went out of bounds and took out like 4 fans. The fans are right there on the field. He took out like 4 fans.
Well, I failed to mention it at that. I mean, I was kind of half paying attention. I was in a bar at the time, but at that Bolton Eastleigh game, some Eastleigh fan got on the field and started running around in the middle of the play, and eventually had to be escorted off by security. And because it's we got that thing here where they have a policy, they never show field people who run on the field in American sports. Like, they always do. They go to a wide shot, and you hear whoever Joe Buck say something like, "Oh, there's an idiot on the field. Let's security will get him, and we'll get back to play." In England, they go, "Oh, look, here's the idiot. Look at him. Look at him." And so it's pretty fun.
And then the U.S. national team. I'll just throw out one more name for you. We were throwing out names last week. And, I'm a homer. I'm always a Red Bull guy talking about Red Bulls. I'm also a New Yorker, so we got to talk about Tim Parker from Vancouver. I think this could be a guy who starts to make his mark on the U.S. national team.
Yeah.
Real good defender for Vancouver, and I hope to see him do something. Okay.
Well, I mean, he's going to get a shot here, 22, so I think he still qualifies for that U23 team, which may be what they're looking at him for, but certainly you can never have too many central defenders, and if he's got some talent, then there you go.
And you can't have too many New Yorkers either.
There you go. That too, Bill. Appreciate the call, man.
Jason,
Thanks.
Take care.
There goes Bill in New York, getting excited for Getty and Zelalem. I'm looking at a story about that pitch invader, and Trevor's giving me this tip. Ref gave Bolton an advantage and let them continue on the attack with the fan running around. Let me see if I get some audio here that I can share. No, I'm just watching the video. This isn't going to translate for you guys. He's just running down the middle of the pitch like he's crashing the back post. That's so good. Oh, so good. Eastleigh fans running on the field. Robert in L.A., you're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Jason. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's the first time I talked to you this year, Robert?
No, it was actually the second time. I was just going to ask you, how long do we keep saying that? Because
we're done.
This weekend when I was going out, people were still saying that.
No, well, okay. Look, you do it the first week of the year with people you see all the time. You see fairly regularly. But if you haven't seen somebody, if you know somebody, you haven't seen them in a while, and you see them in January, you can say Happy New Year in January. Sure.
Okay, I didn't want to say it because we were just, a group of my friends were just saying that for fun, and to me, just a strange one went to business places. But I want to talk about the Liga MX opening weekend. I was watching them. I watched Omar Gonzalez's first game against Tijuana, and first of all, we have to agree that the world's a better place when Miguel Herrera is coaching the team.
Yes, I agree with that. 100%.
So once again, he was doing it, going crazy and doing his antics on the sideline. But for Omar Gonzalez, even though I think he's been with the team maybe 2 or 3 weeks, less than a month. So there was still a little disconnect with him in the back line. And also, it didn't help that one of his center backs decided to get himself red carded and leave Omar Gonzalez all by himself.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty much excited to see what he can do in a high environment league.
Well, I mean, Omar is, I think everybody realizes Omar has talent. He's a particular skill set. I think he's kind of gotten a reputation as a bit of a stiff recently, which I think is unfair to him. And maybe Liga MX not loosens him up, on the field, but certainly just gives him a different sort of look when it comes to the play. Because, in MLS, it's easy for him to just become taken for granted. He wins everything in the air, but we know he's prone to a mistake here or there, and he's got to have his confidence up. He's got to be a guy who people believe in, and Pachuca made an investment in him, so that's good.
Yes, and also that he's being put right into the starting lineup right away. So I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. And also, Janine didn't play, but he's going to play. I kind of want to see what he does in the new environment, so that's what I was calling for. Hopefully you can have Eric Gomez on soon so you can talk about the league. Yeah,
we'll probably get Eric here shortly, either Eric or Tom Marshall, and to start talking about the Clausura as it gets underway. Tigres lost in their opener. Who else? Obviously Chivas it's worth watching Chivas all year because of the relegation issues that they have. You got Rafa coming back for Atlas. So there's some interesting things to watch down in Mexico. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's you, and that's what I want to call for. And also one more thing before I hang up. You guys were talking about the FA Cup. There's another story I saw. Stoke City were playing some championship team, and one of the players took the train back home, and the Stoke fans they recognized him, and then they're all kind of politely teasing him. Nothing bad, but it was kind of hilarious. If you can find it on Deadspin, it's really hilarious.
Oh, really? Okay, I didn't see that one. Who did Stoke have on in the FA Cup? You don't remember?
It's a League One side, Rotherham something. I can't remember his name.
Okay, I'm looking for their score right now. I don't see it. Why is Stoke hiding from me? Doncaster. They beat Doncaster. There you go. All right, Robert, appreciate the call, man. Happy New Year.
Hey, you can have New Year,
There goes Robert calling in, 646-832-3909. Rich on Twitter says, any other MLS hot stove that I missed? I haven't, beyond McInerney moving to Portland, which is a report now from Jeff Carlisle, not yet confirmed, but I bet you it happens if Carlisle reports it. And this Yuromov Sisian thing, I'm not sure. Do we have any other MLS stuff floating around? The stove is awfully lukewarm, says Trevor. So we need to stoke the fire a little bit and put some more wood in there. Did that. I've been playing this video game. Saying video game makes me sound old, right? People just say game. I've been playing this game. Canadians made it, and it's basically just a survival, like a wilderness survival game. You're in like Canada where it snows and it's super cold, and you have to survive. And you're always making fires because it's super cold, and you're always running out of fuel. And I'm like, come on, let's go. I can't be cold all the time. I'm gonna die out here in the Canadian wilderness. Same thing with this MLS hot stove. The fire is going to die if we don't get this thing stoked. By the way, speaking of hot stove in general, maybe this counts as MLS because he's got a contract offer on the table. Jordan Morris, pictures of the man starting his trial with Werder Bremen today. And it's specifically called a trial by the Werder Bremen English language Twitter account. Werder are about to start their first session of the day with trialist Jordan Morris also involved. There's just a picture of Jordan Morris as he walks out onto the pitch. So, I don't know. I'm sure that the Werder Bremen is highlighting other players who are involved in training today. Bunch of pictures from their training session. But to see Jordan Morris put up specifically is interesting. Here's more pictures of Jordan Morris. Jordan Morris fitting right in. Stretching with some player. So, some, I don't know who this is from the back. I can't tell, but some Werder Bremen player. So we're in a position now where it's Jordan Morris watch 2016. That seems to be where we are with this kid. Will he join MLS? And again, the question I have for a lot of people, and I've sort of written on this topic without coming to a hard conclusion because I don't know. I'm certainly torn. Does MLS need Jordan Morris more than Jordan Morris needs Germany? And which one is the best situation for Jordan Morris? Playing at a higher level, being with a team at a higher level. Let's not say playing. Let's say being attached to a team at a higher level in Germany, or having more opportunity to play and contribute and score goals in MLS and be a star. I mean, be somebody that the league markets around. Be somebody that the Sounders market around. Be somebody whose name and face get recognized by soccer fans in the United States of America. Look, he's not a star by general American sports standards, but he is a star within the soccer thing because he's the college kid who got called up, scored against Mexico, and now has his future in front of him after he helped Stanford win a College Cup title. 646-832-3909. We just hit Monday. A couple of things I've been thinking about. If you're watching the web video, I had somebody ask me where I got the Riot shirt. If you are not aware, this is the shirt from the team that was central to the show Matador, which was canceled after one season on El Rey. So this is my LA Riot shirt. This is look. I can't back the Galaxy. And as much as I like what LAFC has done, they're not a team yet. So I can't pick a side. So I'm just gonna be a Riot fan, an LA Riot fan. That way I don't have to pick one, or I don't have to pick one of the teams in LA. But wearing the shirt today had me thinking, if I was going to start a collection, if I had the time, the energy, the effort, the money, I think maybe what I would instead of jerseys from actual teams, like, oh, let me get the latest Arsenal, let me get the latest Manchester United, let me get the latest PSG. Collecting jerseys for fictional teams might be fun, right? Like that. This is not this is not what you would call a classic soccer jersey thing. This thing is, this logo is super big. It's right in the middle of the shirt. It's not actually that good of a jersey, but it still represents the team from that show. I need a dream team. What was their name? Something United. Harchester United. Yeah, I need a Harchester United shirt. Give me. I need a list of the fictional teams. Yeah, Harchester was purple. They were they're very much in that Orlando City area in terms of the colors. My man Mike up in Philly. I've been looking for a big green jersey for years. So Harchester United, big green. I guess I would have to go into the youth soccer movie realm, right? I guess I would have to, but I would prefer to stay in the adult area, like the actual professional teams. But there aren't that many movies, right, that are fictional. There aren't that many movies with fictional professional soccer teams. Or shows, for that matter. Dream Team, Harchester United, Matador, LA Riot. That the list? Is that the whole list? That can't be the whole list. I have to look. You know what? There's got to be a Wikipedia page, fictional soccer clubs, right? Let's go to Jonathan, California. Hey, Jonathan.
Hey, Jason. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. I was just thinking about how Robbie Rogers and Sebastian Leggett from LA Galaxy, they kind of got snubbed from this January call-up.
The legit thing I don't get. I don't get why you don't give Sebastian Lletget a real look. That doesn't make any sense to me. Rogers, Rogers, I think, quote unquote, deserves it, but he's a guy who's sort of been through the system before. He's not a natural left back, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I don't want to justify Klinsmann leaving him out because I think he deserves a look too. But Lletget's the one that really bothers because Lletget's a younger guy who could really grow into himself in the national team program.
No, yeah, exactly. And as far as you said, how Robbie Rogers is not, a left back by trade, he's been using right backs as left backs for how many years now?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, I mean, look, either way, fullback, left side, right side, to have options at that position, I think it's hard to say that Klinsmann's getting anything right if he leaves out a player who has shown well at that position and is available and in good form. I mean, in good health. I mean, there's just not a lot of those guys out there. Why not give Robbie Rogers a look?
Yeah, exactly. I always have this conversation with my cousins. I'm like, I'm a Galaxy fan since it started in '96 when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be biased, but yeah, I do see we do have, MLS does have good left backs that we can call up, but he just doesn't give them a chance, or he instead he uses right backs, or how Klinsmann loves to play players out of position for their growth or whatever.
Or whatever. Or whatever.
Yeah.
All right.
And then and then also I wanted to ask you, what do you think about supposedly Galaxy are trying to sign not just Ashley Cole, but De Jong and Lescott, right? From
Julian Lescott. I'm sorry. Yeah, Julian Lescott and Nigel de Jong. I don't look. I think Nigel de Jong can be I think Nigel de Jong could dominate MLS. I mean, let's not act like he's not still a good player who could get it done at this level. But I think he's 30 or 31. Julian Lescott, I mean, that would be fine, I suppose. I mean, the question continues to be not necessarily the players I'm identifying, but why they're going with these older Europeans when there are more economical choices around.
Exactly. And then also, why do we have Galaxy 2 if we're not looking to breed these guys to come in to the first team to be somebody as well? Why do we have our academy if we're still looking for these over 30-year-old Europeans to bring to our team before namesake? Or I don't understand.
It's a good question. This seems to represent some kind of shift in the direction at the LA Galaxy that I think is troubling. Got to be troubling for fans. They didn't win their championship in 2015, and I guess when you're the club that expects to win or expects to be in the mix for a title and you come up short, that requires some reaction. But I think the reaction being, let's go sign a bunch of aging Europeans, is a weird one.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to lose with those Asian Europeans, of course I personally would not like that.
No, of course.
But if we were to lose, with maybe the younger guys, like the guys from Galaxy 2 or younger American guys, then I'll understand because I'm out there. Well, it's their first year. We can't have the Gonzalez and AJ De La Garza where we made it to the final with them the first year. But that's more understandable than these supposed veterans that have, high quality experience and stuff.
Yeah, the Galaxy seem to be setting themselves up as the as the anti FC Dallas, and considering how well FC Dallas did this year and how close FC Dallas got to making an MLS Cup final, it makes you wonder why. And LA has got a wealth of talent. I mean, I just got done talking to, not just got done, but I talked to Alicia Rodriguez last week about the LAFC unveiling and about what they're doing next. And she said, obviously they're going to get they're working their academy system. They're trying to get that up and running. They chose not to take over Chivas USA's academy, and the best players from Chivas USA went running over to the Galaxy pretty immediately. If you have that talent, why? What? And maybe LA Galaxy 2 is going to be stocked next year. Everything was pretty stocked this year too, but maybe it's going to be really stocked up. and they're just trying to find a way to bridge between that group and the senior team. Maybe those kids aren't quite ready, or maybe there's, I don't know. Maybe Steven Gerrard just said, "I'm really lonely. Send me some English guys." I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
maybe he needs some home country
something like that.
Oh, Spanish, paisanos with him.
Yeah. All right, Jonathan, I appreciate the call, man. Got anything else?
All right, thank you. No, that'll be all.
All right, that'll be all, says Jonathan. Good stuff, man. Appreciate it. 646-832-3909. All right, I've got a list of the fictional. This might not be even remotely comprehensive, but I've got a list of fictional soccer teams. Now, some of these I have no idea where they're coming from. Some of them are video games I've never played before, so I'm not going to mention those. But we got Big Green from that movie, Earl's Park FC from Footballers' Wives, which I never once watched, not once. Earl, but I obviously am aware of the show because back in the day when it was Fox Soccer Channel, they filled time with both Dream Team and Footballers' Wives, right? I think both of those shows were on FSC back in the day. Man, that's going to be a mark of your age pretty soon. You guys realize that, right? Like if you're old enough to remember Fox Soccer Channel and old enough to remember Fox Soccer Channel when it played Dream Team, when it played Earl's Footballers' Wives, then you're gonna be you're old. You're kind of old. See, we got Hounslow Harriers from Bend It Like Beckham, which I haven't seen. Mean Machine. Okay, that one speaks for itself. Let's see. I don't know any of these. Coronation Street I've heard of, but I don't know anything about that team there. You got some teams from Grand Theft Autos. Grand Theft Auto 3, 4, and 5. Los Santos Benders. Los Santos Jardineros. Liberty City Beavers. Okay, so that's the kind of high quality comedy you get out of Grand Theft Auto. That's it. That's pretty much it. That's pretty weak. So collecting fictional soccer jerseys is not going to work out for me. If there's only like 4 worth collecting, I mean, first of all, LA Riot's not even on this list, so I know it's not comprehensive. Because where the hell is LA Riot? No mention of the team from the show Matador. I know it was only on a season. Don't get me wrong, but come on, there's got to be a better list of fictional soccer clubs out there somewhere. Somebody point me in that direction. 646-832-3909. Trying to find fictional soccer clubs, but also taking your calls on a couple of these MLS moves. The FA Cup weekend, you had the Clausura down in Mexico getting underway. We had some results in La Liga as well. Messi being Messi, 4-0 win for Barcelona, 5-0 win for Real Madrid. Look, it's a league of usually 2 teams, with Atletico Madrid sort of getting involved again, which is always good to see. But when we talk about Real Madrid and trying to quote unquote recover, it's, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if I'm rooting for them or not. That's sort of what I'm saying here. Am I rooting for Real Madrid or not? Because I don't want to see Zidane fail. Maybe my desire to see Zidane succeed is going to override any sense I get that I can't root for a team like Real Madrid. Because again, rooting for Real Madrid is like rooting for the empire. I mean, it's rooting for the biggest and baddest and strongest, and my proclivities, my usual sense, is to root for the underdogs. Like I normally, I don't know that I have a dog in the fight in terms of the La Liga title, but I guess what I'm saying is, do I root for Real Madrid to come all the way back and win a title because that will vindicate Zidane and set him up and I like Zidane? Or do I root for Atleti to win the title because I like the quote-unquote underdog, even though Atleti isn't really an underdog when compared to the rest of the world? They're just an underdog within Spain because you have two of the biggest clubs in the world. Root for Eibar. That's not my... No. I'm talking about winning the title. Eibar's not going to win the title. This is like rooting for Leicester. Like you could root for Leicester, and it can also be about winning a title. Like how amazing a story would that be? I'm rooting for that. I'm rooting for Leicester to win the Premier League title because it would be the most amazing story we've seen in England in decades, probably. I don't know. How do I handle the Zidane situation? Very complicated situation. 646-832-3909. Complicated for me. By the way, the MLS SuperDraft is coming up on Thursday. I don't believe we have any particular coverage plans at the moment for the web situation. I will check on that with Trevor and get back to you. Obviously, the draft itself is a rather odd affair. Lots of players you're not going to have heard of. Some players that you'll know from their college experience. But the importance of the draft is now mitigated by the signing of homegrown players. Lots of guys who wouldn't have been in the draft before are now signed as homegrown players and skip the draft entirely. But there's always going to be a couple of players in the draft who pop up and make a difference in year one. If you look at last year's draft, I mean, obviously Kyle Larin is the name that jumps out because Kyle Larin went to Orlando, scored a bunch of goals, set a rookie record. Number 1 overall pick out of Connecticut. So Orlando City got that right. Here's your top 5 picks from 2015. And we'll determine, impact as we go along here. Kyle Larin, massive impact. As big of an impact as you could possibly have as a rookie in this league, especially as a rookie attacker. New York City FC, Kyrie Shelton. Injured, obviously behind David Villa, behind some other guys. Didn't get as much playing time as you would like to have seen. But I don't think, you're certainly not calling him a bust. And I don't know that you could say he contributed in year one. Montreal Impact at number 3 drafted Romario Williams. I don't know who that is. Was he on their roster this year? Because I did not see Romario Williams play. The San Jose Earthquakes drafted Fatai Alashe. Now he rounded himself into a major contributor with that team. Big pick for them. Portland Timbers at number 5 picked Nick Beasler. He did not make much of an impact. I don't think he played at all. I don't think he ended up making a senior level appearance for Portland in 2015. And this is the range. This is what the draft is now. You're going to have guys who step right in, like Kyle Larin, blow the doors off the thing. Then you're going to have guys like Nick Beasler, who is probably more of a project for Portland. Or they drafted him because he was the best player available, but they didn't actually need him at that position, so he doesn't get any playing time, or he plays in the reserves. Just to go through this, give you a sense how hit and miss the draft is now. Or this is year one. Reserve judgment on a lot of these players. I'm just saying that when it comes to the immediate impact. So Nick Beasler was number 5. Alex Bono was number 6 to Toronto FC, a goalkeeper. Okay. Matt Polster of Chicago was number 7. We know he made an impression, ended up in the national team camp, part of the U23 setup. Good player. Zach Steinberger was number 8 to the Dynamo. Didn't see him in 2015. Clement Simonin to Toronto at number 9. The reason I don't know how to say his name is because he didn't play, as far as I know. Connor Hollisey from California to Sporting Kansas City at 10. Okay. Skylar Thomas at 11 to Toronto FC. Saad Abdul Salam, who did play for Sporting in 2015 from Akron, was the number 12 pick. Tim Parker, who just got referenced on this show from the Vancouver Whitecaps, a St. John's product. Why Bill is so excited. Number 13, so he played. Axel Skoberg for the Rapids, like super tall guy. I don't think he played a lot. Otis Earl, Christian Roldan. We know Christian Roldan to the Sounders, played a bit. Miguel Aguilar for DC United, played a bit. Leo Stoltz didn't play at all for New York Red Bulls. Sergio Campbell, I don't think he played. Amadou Dia for Sporting Kansas City, played a bit. Ignacio Maganto for the LA Galaxy, played a bit. So there you go. I mean, it's again, we're in a position now where the MLS SuperDraft is, usually top heavy, but it's not even really about being top heavy, because then you would say, well, the top 5 picks are the guys that are going to make a difference. But in that top 5, you had 2 in Romario Williams and Nick Beasler, who basically did nothing at the senior level, and you had a guy in Kyrie Shelton who made just a little bit of a mark. Kyle Larin and Fatai Lashley were the big hits. In fact, those were the number 1 and number 2 Rookie of the Year guys in terms of the voting. Kyle Larin won it. Fatai Lashley was second. But there's also guys sprinkled throughout this first round who, again, popped up, made a difference, stepped in when injury hit. Saad Abdul Salam, Maganto, Christian Roldan, Miguel Aguilar. So it's top heavy, but it's also, because of the nature of scouting and the nature of evaluating talent, means that the talent that is that comes to the table and does something that year can be spread out through the round. And then there's a round 2, which, again, we're talking about the MLS SuperDraft sort of being limited year to year as things change in the way that players are signed. But there are still guys here. Connor Donovan from Orlando City. Got some time. Let's see. Boyd Okwanu from RSL. I don't know how you played a lot, but certainly a highly touted player. Let's see. Tyler Miller. No. Rob Lovejoy from Houston. I think he got a little bit of time. Not sure it was much. Eric Bird for the Union. Anybody else? O'Neal Fisher for the Sounders. I mean, guys that popped up when in Open Cup play, in relief of somebody, in a game that didn't matter, or maybe got some time again as a fill-in at various points. Oh, wait, there's a round 3, too? Yeah, we're not doing that. Soccer Morning, 646-832-3909 if you got anything you want to tip in here on a Monday. We hit some of the biggest stories. The FA Cup, the Ballon d'Or. Anybody got picks on the Ballon d'Or? Yeah, going to all pick Messi, probably. But the rest of these categories. All right, let's go ahead. We'll put it we'll put it in the official ledger here. Who are my picks going to be? I got some scrap paper. I'm going to pick Messi. Trevor threw me off here because he said, again, I was told there was some sort of leak about the results of the Ballon d'Or voting, and that it was Messi and Celia Sasic. And it may very well be, but I'm going to pick Carly Lloyd anyway because, whatever, I'm a homer. Carly Lloyd. Men's Coach of the Year, Pep, Jorge Sampaoli, or Luis Enrique? I'm going to get Luis Enrique. I'm going to go with Luis Enrique. I mean, Champions League winner. How do you not go with that guy? Women's Coach of the Year, Jill Ellis, Mark Sampson, Norio Sasaki. I'm going to say Jill Ellis, another homer pick for me. And then the rest is FIFA 11 and Puskas, and I'm not picking those. The Puskas, I'm boycotting the Puskas Award because Carly Lloyd's goal from the World Cup final did not make it in. That's a joke, a travesty, a mockery, a Travis mockery. That one. All right. It seems to be that we have wrapped up a Monday edition of Soccer Morning. Good stuff from everybody that called in. Thank you for doing so. We'll be back tomorrow with our usual Tuesday edition. I'm sure we'll talk something with somebody. We'll get a guest on and we'll have a discussion and it'll be fun because that's what soccer is. It's fun. All right. Thanks a lot for listening. Soccer Morning, worldsoccertalk.com. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.